Guys, you all know that I believe that yield farming is the best way to generate passive income in the history of mankind. But one critical piece of yield farming in order to be a successful yield farmer is how to go about rebalancing your portfolio. So in this video, we're going to discuss what yield farming is and all things rebalancing, when you should rebalance, why you should rebalance, and how to rebalance efficiently, no matter what network you're on, whether if you're on ETH mainnet or Arbitrum or whatever. Before we get started, I do have to say this video should not be taken as financial advice. These are all just my opinions, my strategies, my own perspectives. They should be treated as such. Use this channel as a starting point, but always do your own research. So without further ado, let's jump straight to the content, starting off with what is yield farming. So there's multiple ways to yield farm, like we talk about all the time. You can validate a network by staking on the ETH beacon chain or staking that blockchain's native token on the network. You can use your funds to facilitate borrowing and lending on something like Compound or Aave. You can stake your tokens on something like Nexus Mutual to facilitate insurance premiums. But the way that we're going to be discussing is providing your liquidity is by staking your tokens in the form of pairs on decentralized exchanges so you can make money when assets are traded back and forth in your pool. So for example, if you're in an ETH USDC pool, you can provide liquidity, and whenever someone trades from USDC to ETH or ETH to USDC, you make passive income in proportion to the volume and what percentage of your liquidity makes up the pool. So for example, there's 100K in the pool, you have 5K in ETH, 5K in USDC, your liquidity makes up 10%, so you're gonna make 10% of the trading fees. Going a step further, there's something called concentrated liquidity, and this is not new. Market makers have been doing this since the 19th century. Concentrated liquidity allows you to provide liquidity in a desired price range. So going back to the ETH USDC example, if you believe that ETH is gonna trade between the range of 2,000 and 4,000, you can provide liquidity within that range. So whenever ETH is in the range of 2K to 4K, you're making passive income. It's the same thing that market makers do on exchanges. When you go and buy your Tesla stock, it's not the brokerage that's holding the inventory. The brokerage is just the middleman between the market maker and yourself. It's the market maker that says, hey, here's 100 million in Tesla, here's 100 million in cash. Only use my liquidity when Tesla's trading in between the price of X and Y, and they profit off of what's called the bid to ask spread. And I made a video talking about the difference between yield farming and market making, where I delved through all of this and even talked about why yield farming in crypto is better. And the reason why is because these mainstream banks and financial institutions aren't legally allowed to provide liquidity in DeFi. So all of those yields are reserved for everyday people like you and I. For the first time, we can be market makers. And if you know what you're doing, it's a good way to generate passive income. So within concentrated liquidity, like I said, you provide liquidity within a range, but what happens if it goes out of range? Should you rebalance? Well, that depends on your goal. And you should have a rebalance trigger goal in mind. You should already say, hey, if this happens, I'm gonna rebalance to this before you even get in the pool. It's the same thing with buying an asset. You need to have a take profit strategy. You know when you're getting out before you get in. It's the same exact thing with yield farming. But as a general rule, let's just say you want to rebalance to a range where you think it's gonna be in if it goes out of range. I like to give it a little time because sometimes things will go out of range and it'll come back down within your range. That's when looking at key support and resistance levels comes into play. And to kind of cushion this or circumvent this, I like to have what's called tranches. Let me show you what I mean. So a tranche is just having liquidity in different ranges for the same pair at the same time. So for Maple, you can see right now I'm out of range on this pool. One of my tranches is from this bottom line to this middle line, and another one is from this top line to this bottom line. And I put most of the money in the wide range because it's less risky, and I put the smaller amount of money in this range. But what you'll find is you can generate the same amount of rewards in the smaller one because the range is tighter. And that's kind of what's been happening. But when it comes to rebalancing, like let's say I'm in here, it drops, it goes up, and I rebalance here, well, it would have went right back down. So I'm just gonna be patient. I'm gonna give it about a week because this is on ETH mainnet. If it starts to consolidate here, I'll just set the range probably from about here to here. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit later how I will go about setting the range on ETH mainnet so that I can, be efficient with my gas fees. Another reason why I like to have tranches is because things could pop at any moment. If you guys watch any of my videos, you know I have a certain percentage of my portfolio, around 20%, set aside just for yield farming. I'm not worried about impermanent loss because impermanent loss helps you if you know what you're doing. I made a video on that. Give it a watch if you haven't. But things could pop at any moment. Like, think about how long we've been in a bear market. Bear markets can last years, and yeah, hodl. Things go up, things go down, so your balance is just going up and down. Well, what if you can provide liquidity, and while things are going up and going down, you're making passive income from that volume? Eventually, if you yield farm correctly long enough, you get to the point where you're yield farming with house money. So now when things actually moon, you have more assets to sell, but no one ever knows how long you're going to be waiting. So the best thing to do is always be accumulating, right? You want to have a percentage of your portfolio in cash, a percentage of your portfolio in assets, and a percentage in yield farming. This is a biblical concept, and I made a video going into that as well. Give that a watch if you haven't. But each three of those things have their own time to shine within a portfolio. Cash shines when prices are cheap because it can scoop up assets at a discount. Assets shine when prices moon because you can sell it for more cash. And then yield farming shines all the time because you're constantly able to accumulate more cash and assets so that they can have their time to shine better. But in terms of rebalancing, it's normally the narrow ones that have to be rebalanced. Like this wide range, I haven't had to rebalance it at all. I had to rebalance this one because I was from like here to here, and I rebalanced it down here. So what I'm gonna do, if it, like I said, if it consolidates here for probably about a week or more, I'm gonna rebalance to whatever range it's consolidating at. And if it happens again, I'll do it again. Like, I've already accumulated so much maple to where I'm not worried about it, because I know that when maple moons, the amount that I've accumulated is going to be so much more than whatever impermanent loss I experience. And this is why I always tell people, you don't want to use yield farming to pay your bills, because you can't win that way. You may win in the short term, but we're thinking long term. We're long term thinkers here, and that's why you're watching this video. So let's say I wanted to rebalance from 005542 down to this bottom line. So I'm gonna go to Aperture Finance, and I made a video on how to use this, so definitely give it a watch if you haven't. I'm gonna connect my wallet. After I connect my wallet, I click liquidity management. I'm gonna make sure I'm on the right network, ETH. Now I can see my pools. So this is the one that's out of range. Now, it's two ways to rebalance. I can go on Uniswap and do it the more expensive way. I have to click exit pool. I'm paying gas when I do that. And then I have to do the math. Like, let's say I'm here and I want to enter and my range is here and price isn't smack dab in the middle. Well, I need to know how much maple I need to hold and how much ETH I need to hold. But if I do this on Aperture, I click this. Let's say I want to rebalance, click rebalance. And remember, I said I wanted to go, instead of being 3506, let's say I want to go up to 05413. I go to Aperture. At my max, I type in 5542. I click off of it. Now I'm within range. And I click rebalance now. I sign the position permit. And then boom, you're done. I'm actually going to reject it because I'm not going to rebalance right now. So guys, with that, I'd like to conclude this video. I hope you got value. If you did, drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe. And if you want to learn how to do these things and market make like a professional and accumulate your favorite assets at a high clip so you can have more to sell when the bull market is in full swing, click the link in the description, book a free strategy session. You'll talk to either me or one of our team members. We'll answer your questions, but ultimately see if our program is a good fit for you. If it's not, hey, no harm, no foul. Just so you know, we're looking for a certain type of individual, self-motivated, high integrity, passionate about investing and or crypto, and just has a hunger to learn more, because iron sharpens iron. We're going to keep a high quality group. So if that sounds like you, we're excited to work with you. We're excited to chat with you. But with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love every single one of you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and trade safe. Peace out.